Well, hey there, this should be a slight change of pace from a bunch of the CNC stuff I've been dealing with recently. So today, we have one of the Ubiquiti manageable routers. Or not routers, the manageable outlet strips. So it is the mFi Power 3 outlet, discreetly monitorable outlet strip, which apparently it's surprisingly inexpensive. It ran about $60. There's other stuff that will be a future review, which is one of their facility automation things, which I'm hoping to use to monitor the whole house power consumption. But we're just going to look at this today. So it's a fairly minimalist package. The machine-to-machine power strip, remote monitoring and control of connected devices. Uses Wi-Fi, acts over IP. The thing that I find interesting about these is that, according to their documentation, once you get it set up, it gives you a JSON API interface. So, effectively, the nice thing about this is rather than all the reverse engineering shit I've had to do for all the other devices, this one, they have a supported way for you to get data from it out into whatever your own system is, which is why I picked this up. Also, it's cool that it's relatively inexpensive. I'm okay with it. So, nothing in the box aside from one molded thing. So there's two components here. This is the wall mount thing. So you screw that onto the wall and this clips onto it. And there's the entire thing. It vibrates a little bit, but it feels very, very solid. I'd say I don't really have any complaints about it. It creaks a little bit. Yeah, one of the things I was a little curious about was looking at the pictures on the box. I thought these might have been like obnoxious child safety things where you have to slide them, but it's just how they have the numbering, I guess. So, you appear to have obnoxious rubber feet covering the screws. I would assume covering the screws, they push in enough that let's see, I've just pulled my tweezers away. There they are. So, these are obviously fairly long. Okay, yeah, there we go. So, the right tools, they come out without really any effort. There's one screw right in the middle. That's annoying. Assholes. So these are a little bit shorter, or well, the holes are more recessed, so these actually don't poke out. So one spray screw over here. So it's annoying that they put the sticker under there. They put the sticker over one of the screw holes. Let's see if I can't peel it up without having to put a hole in it. Yep, there we are. So these are, they're all Torx. Where is my Torx driver? Where will the... So I got this in my office white elephant gift exchange. So I mean, it's kind of it's not exactly a quality tool, but it's got Torx bits, and who wants to spend all that time actually having to manually rotate a screwdriver? So seems to work well enough. Cord. Yeah, like kind of as an interesting example of how different these are from kind of consumer grade shit. Ubiquiti is like, yeah, you can have SSH access. This has manufacturer supported SSH access to their little Linux instance. I mean, it's running BusyBox and you're not going to do much with it, but they're just like, yeah, sure, here's how you turn it on. how is that? How different is that from all the little, you know, kind of residentially targeted type things where they don't even want to admit that the thing has a server in it. It's just a box. Anyway, so that's kind of interesting. So this is actually a circuit breaker. I didn't realize it had a circuit breaker in it. So it looks like I'm not entirely certain. I think that has to push against something else. So self-evident, if we look at this, we have a power supply, and then we have all of the outlet monitoring. And I think actually this board down here is the actual computer. So it's kind of a little exploded and spread about. So there's the power supply. Okay, so the power supply taps off of the hot, I guess, and then this is the yeah, this is the neutral. Just go see that. Just a little, probably 2 volts, reasonably well made. It's got an isolation boundary, which is kind of funny because the isolation boundary is basically unneeded in this particular application, due to the fact that it's all mains connected anyways. So then just the only other thing of interest is this, which is a rather monolithic little board. So we have a side-firing bicolor, side-firing bicolor LCD or LED. Man, I'm dumb today. Which lights up this little axle thing, and that's actually what lights up this whole strip. So it's end illuminated, which is kind of cool. Here's the antenna, and then here's the one of the little standouts I was talking about. So they don't have a lot of connectors in here, but that's not too surprising because 15 amp connectors are expensive. Anyways, so here's the monitoring board. You can see it's a PL7223. That's an LV138. PL7223. Looks like another LV138. 136. It appears so these generally need a pretty good clock. So that's probably the primary clock for all these, which looks like it's 10.4, which would be I'm not actually sure what that would be in frequency. But that's, I think that you know, one of these might be acting as the main primary oscillator, and then they're all sharing the clock. Anyways, we can see here actually that's interesting. So if we look down there, we can see a bunch of resistors. That's going to be your mains divider. So there's a bunch of resistors in series to get the needed isolation voltage. I can't just pop this plastic cover off, unfortunately. I'm not sure where the primary current okay, there's our primary current shunt, which is a R003. That's a 3 milliohm resistor. Is it really that small? One thing you might notice there is there's actually see the 2 traces coming out right in the middle. Those 2 traces there, those are Kelvin connections to basically so that you don't have any of the current drop across the traces or anything affecting it. You're trying to just measure the voltage across the resistor. And for really high precision current stuff, they'll actually have resistors that have 4 terminals, and then very heavy connections in them. And then 2 little terminals are very fine, and those are the ones where you measure the voltage drop across it. So obviously both of those run down to here and here. So we have, this must be current and this must be voltage. And then it obviously just feeds right in there. So anyways, obviously both of the signals, current and voltage, feed into the part. And then that probably computes power factor and all the relevant numbers. There's our relay, 16 amps, 215 volt, what you'd expect. And then we just have the same circuit repeated 3 times. If we look on the back, we can see it looks like they're actually pretty bussed together. Each chip might have a unique chip select. I don't know what the interface is, though I can tell a little bit because here we obviously have TP CS1, CS2, CS3, MUX chip select. I wonder what the MUX is. Reset 1, reset 2, reset 3 is select. Another reset, cell 2, 5 volts. And then down here we have MOSI, clock, MISO, ground, VPP, and 3.3 volts. That's nice. I like this. They've got everything labeled. I mean, look at that. It's all out L3, out N3. So, in terms of pure hackability, I am very impressed. So obviously we now know that just from looking at the board that these have an SPI interface and they have broken out the reset and the chip select, and then I think these might be the multiplexers. I don't know what they're doing. Probably some of this has to do with switching the relays or something like that, because it doesn't look like very many pins of this device are connected. Anyways, that's basically everything on this board. So here's the Linux board, which is basically much more empty. Interestingly enough, there's another ZIF socket down here that didn't have anything in it. This was unconnected from the factory. You can see we have leads. I bet this is 5 volts and ground, just with it. 2 parallel wires. Here's the only UI or only interface of the whole thing. One little button. There's our UFL, and then on the other side we just have a bigger can, and then there's the side firing LED. Let's see what's underneath it. That is a LV125A from TI. I'm pretty sure you can find out a lot about the stack on this. I think it's an Atheros part, if I remember some of the reviews I read correctly. So, I mean, we could always just SSH into it, but where's the fun in that? Let's gently lift have a look under the hood. Might hear noise in the background. That's my roommate's cat, which I think we might have accidentally fed caffeine, or it's bored. I'm cat sitting because my roommates are away on vacation. So Miss Kitty is just, I want to play, I want to play, I want to play, I want to play, I want to play. I mean, adorably so, but kind of annoying. I'm surprised she's not up on the workbench already. So we have an AR9331 and a Winbond. That's flash, I believe. Could be DRAM. There's our system clock. I believe this is all this junk around here. I think this has the Wi-Fi radio in it. Oscillator. Looks like it might have some built-in DC to DCs. That's probably a power management with a DC to DC because there's another inductor. Okay, that's interesting. There's actually a bit of very stiff thermal pad on the bottom of that to, I guess, couple the primary IC into the can lid. That's kind of surprising. Then, yeah, unfortunately the other side is completely soldered down for some reason. That's obnoxious of them. So I'm not going to really get that apart. So that looks like that's basically the overview of the hardware. Let's see if I can't persuade it back together. Hey, so in contrast to the my previous experience with that other smart plug made by, I don't even remember the company's name, this was actually fairly easy to get going. The hardware requirements are a bit higher. From what I can tell, they have a cloud offering, but you don't have to use it. If you don't want to use it, you basically have to provide a local server that runs their probably horrible Java application that kind of does their fleet management shenanigans. But the installation process was pretty straightforward. I had read a bit about this online previously, and there was a lot of complaints that it used to be quite hard to install, but at this point they actually have a Debian app repository, so I just had to copy a VM and poke it in and basically tell it to install, wait a little while, wonder why the fuck anyone would build anything with MongoDB, and then we had we have the functional server. So it has the stupid place your outlets on a map. So of course the obvious map to use in this situation is ThreatBut, because it will keep us secure. So you have let's see, you have kind of your two different outlets. In this situation I've configured on the power strip. Let's see, can you see that? On the power strip I've configured 2 of the 3 outlets. So you can name them, specify them as unused, etc., and you can move them around. It tells you a bit about which IP it locally resolved to, how long it's been up. I'm actually not too sure what locate does. Once you're there, you have settings for this. You can see I've got the power locked because I don't want to accidentally turn off my. Let's see, there we go. I don't want to accidentally turn off the server, so you can tell it put it into monitor only. You have data, which is, I believe, a cumulative log of power. And events I would assume are turning it on and off. It has the ability to monitor the power consumption in more detail. So we go up to data, and yeah. So here's it's a graph of. This actually looks kind of like FLOT of the power consumption by the device. So it appears it has a. I'm not too sure what the update interval is. Whoops. Kitty has come to say hi. It's probably every 15 seconds, I think. But you can see that, whoops. Actually, I'm not sure how to zoom out. Obviously, I haven't done too much with this. Oops. But you get a, basically, you get a, you can actually see, oh, here we are. So if we just, over here we have a control panel. So I think I can say last hour. Kitty's coming to sniff the camera. So we can put, so you can see here's my other, you're not helping, Kitty. You can see here's my, one of the other power things. And obviously the view's auto-scaled, but you can kind of see that I've got junk going on. I have a bunch of computers in there. It hasn't built up too much data yet, so if I set it to weak, I don't see anything because I just got it set up about an hour ago. You have events, which I think are, I'm actually not entirely certain what they are. I'm pretty sure you can schedule things to turn on or turn off. I have zero interest in doing that. I actually forgot to short out the relay so that they can't turn anything off. I have no idea what a scene is. My assumption would be that some of this is for configuring like structured lighting and so forth. So here's just kind of the general overview. You can, up here you can set the update interval to, like if I put it to every 5 seconds, I think we'll see the number should change periodically. So they're supposed to also have a, actually not too sure what this is aside from the fact that it appears to be somewhat animated. Oh, I see. So it's like a cheesy, drawn dots to compare the two. That's darky. You need it's swish and fancy, but kind of garbage. Obviously, there's a lot of different options here. The whole mFi thing is apparently pretty complicated. But on the whole, I'm considerably more impressed with this than I was with the other thing. You know, again, it really wasn't that many problems to get set up. It seems to have decent things. From what I understand, it has a JSON API, so I can query it to get the data somewhere else, which is really nice. And if not, it's a MongoDB backing instance, and I've used that a little bit. So, Kitty's behind the monitor. Do you see the nose? Get it, get it. I don't know if this is coming out at all because of the exposure in the camera. Oh, there we are. Get it. Anyway, yes. Sorry, I'm distracted by I'm using cat sitting. Oh, there we go. Got it. Go get it. Trying to see if I can fiddle with exposure compensation. Oh, oh no, my mouse! You can't have my mouse! Anyways, complete silliness aside, I'm sorry, I'm amused. Silliness aside, it seems like a pretty decent thing. If I have two complaints. Oh, 1 second. At this point, if I had two complaints about it, it would be one, somebody at Ubiquiti needs to be kicked so hard in the nuts that they pop out their mouth. The password dialog only allows letters, doesn't allow numbers even, which is just so amazingly stupid from a security perspective that somebody needs to either be fired or kicked so hard in the nuts that they come out their mouth, or I guess ovaries. Take your pick. Kick them in between the legs in any of it. Other complaint is the interface is a Flash app, which, I mean, it works, but it's kind of annoying, especially since Flash is like straight up being removed from a lot of things, and it also means that you can't, managing it from your phone is not really as much of an option. Hey, sorry. I wish it was something else. It'd be nice if they had gone to HTML5, but I think they've been working on this whole Ubiquiti Ubint thing for a number of years now. Probably 3 or 4 years. At which point, making the decision to make it a Flash app a few years ago was kind of not really there was really no comparison, because doing it in HTML5 was basically unproven. Now that the technology has matured, I think it's deciding now to start with the Flash app would be spectacularly stupid. But the problem is, again, what is your when was the decision made? And once you have a lot of code base, you can't exactly go back and change it. So I wouldn't be too angry about that. Another thing of interest is I'm not sure what this can manage. It seems to be mFi, their Ubiquiti mFi specific, which is a little annoying, because I have at least one Ubiquiti access point, which would be cool if I could manage it from the same interface. But I think that's probably a different tool. They don't have. Oh, look, we just came to say hi. So they don't really have they don't have the facility for having another, merging it all together, because the user interface requirements for the two different. My knee is not a cat toy. I'm being attacked. I think my roommate accidentally bought caffeinated cat food. Again, the interface requirements for editing, managing routers and firewalls and stuff like that are so dramatically different from the user interface requirements for editing, managing this sort of power management, that having it as two separate applications is, understandable, if not wonderful. Sorry, yeah. This kitty's just being very amusing. She was snoozing on my lap earlier. I don't know what's going on. Just bored or hungry. Anyways, I'm going to play with the other bits, and this will probably continue.